I have a tendency to forget that, so let's go. Let's do this. All right. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to my stream. I'm Pierre, your host. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I know that I did. I just kind of kicked back, had a wonderful weekend, watched a wonderful Yankees game yesterday. Really a nail biter to the last minute. It was awesome. So anyways, let's not waste time talking about the Yankees. Let's get into our daily job, which is to continue on this painting. So what I'm going to do first is what I always do. I'm going to go over to the computer. We're going to check out very quickly what we did on Friday, just to refresh our memories, and then we'll tackle the day from there. So we're going to go over here. I also have some guests here on Instagram, so I'm going to also juggle around with my Instagram camera. There we go, so nobody feels left out. So let's go to our recap. So what did we do on Friday? Well, actually what we did, we laid down the second coat to our background. Because unfortunately, when you put down one coat, you can see all the brush strokes. And even though on the camera it doesn't really show, well, in real life it does, and it looks pretty crappy. So we have to put in second coats. And that's what we did on Friday. It was a short day. Nobody complained because it was a Friday. So anyways, we're going to make up for it today. So anyways. So what are we going to do? Let me just try to figure all this out, where to put these cameras, because it is always a little bit complicated. So I'm going to put that like that for now. And I am going to come over to camera number 2 right over here. And what we're going to do is Good question. I had several things I wanted to do. The question is, in what order should I do it to make sure that I don't paint on top of some wet paint? So what will be the correct order? I think what I'm going to do is just add a little more details to the painting. I basically always kind of improvise in the studio and decide at the last minute what I'm going to be doing. And today I had a flashback of adding a lot more details to my little jungle scene. So, and then what I wanted to do is put some shading on this purple so we can add the details to the background as well. But I'm not going to do that really today, for the simple reason that when I do the background to all the finishing touches to my background, there's a lot of texture on there. So if I paint on top of that, the texture shows through the foreground, and it doesn't look that great. So I'm trying to do most of the foreground first, and then I kind of go and do the background and piece it in, which is not at all the correct way of painting. You're always supposed to start with the background and work your way towards the front. But what the hell, I don't follow rules anyways, right? So I am going to get the paint ready. So I'm just going to come over here again, back to camera number 2. I'm also going to bring this guy over so everybody feels included in the process, more or less. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do a light beige color as a background for the details I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing like a bunch of branches and stuff like that. Nothing that has to do with reality, of course. And first of all, I have to find the colors I wanted to use. I should have prepared all this in advance, but I had no idea what I was going to paint today, so I'm just making this up as I go along. And this is what hit me today. No, that's not the color I want. So Let's keep these rags on the floor. I'll be needing them in a few seconds. So I'm going to go with this burnt sienna, I guess. No, or umber. Burnt umber. And I'm going to add white paint, and I'm going to use this as my background color for what we're going to do now. And while that's drying, I will probably do the shading of my purple background. So, a lot of backgrounds in the backgrounds, but whatever. So, let's get some of this paint in here. There we go. I don't need that much because I'm going to add some white to it and make it a light umber. And then when we do the details and finish it off, then we'll add some deeper colors. So what am I looking for? My faithful knife. Let's get some white paint in here. I am not sure of the quantity that I need. We'll figure that out as we go along. So, clean off the knife. I always like keeping my materials nice and clean. Like that, I don't mix the paints in the jars in case I'm in a hurry or thinking of something else. So when I say clean, this is basically what I consider a clean knife, right? Anyways, so I have that done. Now, I might as well pick the paintbrush I'm going to be using to do my background. So what brush am I going to use? So I have to step back and take a look and see really what I want to do here. So maybe this guy. Or maybe this guy. Or maybe this guy. I don't know. I'm going to put all three of these babies to soak just for a few seconds. I'm going to move this jar of water over here, and I'm going to bring over camera number 1 a little bit closer. Like that, I can mix the paints directly with camera number 1. And we can do that together. So, and then I guess I can bring this guy over a little closer as well. Now, let's see if I can tip this down a little bit. I'm always nervous here because I wouldn't want my phone, which is on this tripod, to fall. Not that I don't have any confidence on it, but always nervous. I don't mind streaming, but I sure as hell don't want it to turn into a catastrophe. So let me switch over to camera number 1. And as you see, there is a burnt umber, there's the white. So let's mix all this together and see what we have. How's this doing? Can I move this a little closer? All right. So I'll just hold that here, and hopefully everybody can see what's going on. So that is very light. I guess I can mix the whole thing in together. There we go. Again, these are just going to be like some, what is it called? I don't remember. You know, trees. Stuff hanging in the jungle, in the background. On top of all this, I'll be putting flowers and plants and adding some bright colors, some oranges, some pinks. I'm using these weird colors lately, since several months now. A lot of turquoise, a lot of light cerulean blue, and some pinks. Colors I never used before in my life. But I'm just going through this little period of using these kind of pastel colors. I'm kind of getting a kick out of that. So I think it's nice and thick, but maybe too thick. So I'm just going to add a little more water to this. So as you can see, we're having a light umber color, which is going to be perfect because I have a feeling like everything I do, I'm going to have to put 2 coats. So this will be the first coat. because I'll see right through this and maybe even see the brush strokes or whatnot. And no matter how thick I put this paint on, I always have to, it seems like it at least, always have to put 2 coats. So I've just got in the habit of thinking 2 coats no matter what I do. So this first coat is just going to go down very quickly. How's this look? This looks pretty good. Is it too thick? I don't think so. Well, we'll see. Okay, so we got this together. I'll just set this here. Get my cameras all together here as well. That's kind of what I have to keep in mind. So I'm going to concentrate a lot more on my HD cameras, as I mentioned before, just because even when I finish my painting, I do make a little short 3, 4, 5-minute video of the making of the entire painting. So that's why I'm concentrating a lot more on my HD cameras. So I'm going to start right there, because I'm going to be working right in this area. So that seems to be covering that pretty nicely. And so where am I here? Let me just take a look very quickly at my computer, making sure that there are no drop frames, and everything seems okay. All right, very good. So let's bring this maybe a little bit closer in the background like that. I don't know. Straighten it up a little bit. Okay, so let's try this out. Okay, I am going to have to step back for a second, take a look from afar. And I think I'm just going to go There's just kind of jungle vines. Just like that, and maybe one coming down like this. I'm going to want this to go in the background, so I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to want it to come somewhere like over here. So let's just start over here and figure out how to connect them both. I'll just have it go on top. It doesn't really matter at this point. There we go. Again, there's going to be stuff on top of all that, so it's just like background again. And then I'm going to go over to the right-hand side of this painting. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, just like that. And this camera, I guess, can just capture the whole thing. Hopefully, I'm not in front of the lens. And that's the way it's going to go. And what am I going to do here? And here I'm going to do, I don't know, what am I going to do? I don't know, maybe the same sort of thing. Maybe something like that, just like this. Like I said, this is just the background. I'll add details to give this a little bit of richness later on. I just want to do something like that. And what? Have some sort of a tree going down here. And these paintings are like puzzles, you know, I just wing it as I go along. That maybe just a little bit down here. Little reminder of it. Like that. I was thinking maybe of doing another very thin one, like starting here maybe. So I can bring this, let me just have the camera follow a little bit what I'm doing. So this can go all the way down. It'll be covered anyways by other plants. And there's no need for me to go all the way down because right in here it's going to be all full of other stuff. Just like that. There we go, just bring that down here. It doesn't really matter. All this really just makes a lot more sense when you come towards the end of the painting, but whatever. So something like that, and why not? Let's let me just think this out here as well. All right, because I don't just paint plants, I paint colors. So it's important for me to make sure there's a balance, not too much. And I think I should leave it just like that for now. So I'll just come over to camera number 2 here. And we are just going to prepare the next level of purple. This time I'm going to go and do the shading to my background. So that's going to be what's next. So where's my paint? My purple's right here. And I'm not going to need very much because I'm not actually going to paint. I'm just going to dab on these colors, this shading. And it's not that obvious to do because I don't want the shading to be very contrasted. I know that on the camera, when there's a lot of contrast, it looks great. But in real life, it doesn't look that good. You want the shading to be really discreet. I mean, you barely don't even want to notice it, yet somehow your brain sees some sort of a variation, and it just gives everything a lot more richness and depth. So that's what I want to do, and I have to keep that in mind because when this paint, and most colors, when they dry, they tend to darken. So it's not that obvious to find that right shade. Sometimes I have to wait for it to be completely dry, and the next day add a little more or make it a little darker because I was afraid of making it too dark that first day. I couldn't really tell. So, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, so I still haven't quite gotten it where sometimes I get it right off the bat, works perfectly, and other times not really. So hopefully today we'll keep our fingers crossed and I can find that right little balance. So let me make some room here. Jesus. There we go. And like usual, I am going to clean my knife before I continue. So it's a nice toasty day here in southern France. I would say it's in the low 80s. So a nice summer day. And where's my purple paint? I don't know. I already put it away. So this is the part that I'm going to have to be... I know the purple paint overwhelms the white very quickly. So I'm just going to put a little bit, just a little bit like that. And hopefully we can find a shade that's slightly darker than our background. Again, cleaning off the knife first. There we go. And I'm going to mix this on camera number 1 like we did earlier. So let me bring this baby up closer. And bring it down. Just like that. And I'll bring this baby over like this as well. Okay, so. So I'm trying to debate what paintbrush to use for this. And maybe use that paintbrush to do the mixing of my paint. So I'm going to use this brush here. Okay, so is everything covered here? God, I wish I wasn't not used to this telephone being on live. I don't really like being in front of the lens like that so much, but whatever. So let's try to get the right shade here, the right hue of our purple paint. Gonna have to make it a little bit darker. Like I said, I don't need that much because I'm just going to be dabbing this on. So there we go. Now we're getting a little bit darker. Don't want to go overboard either. So, as you can see, now we're getting into these darker colors that when it dries, it's going to get even darker. So going to have to be careful, bringing in just a little bit of white into this mix. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it on in just a little area. So let me bring this camera over here. There we go. I wanted to open my tripod a little bit because I had a feeling that it could tip over any time now. So let's try just a little bit of this purple paint right in here. So you can see right away the difference, right? Let me zoom in a little bit with this camera. See right in there. Now, is this going to be too dark? Just going to add a teensy weensy bit of white paint to that. Just a little bit. And I'm going to move this camera back and over so we get that upper left-hand side. Because that's where we're going to start from. This guy, I'm going to move it over here. There we go. Can we zoom in maybe? There we go. A little zoom. Very good. And let's try this right in here. There we go. Just a little bit of lightness. See here, I think it looks great. What I started off by doing earlier down in here, I think is just a little too dark. But we'll go back on top of that in a few seconds when it dries. I'm not too worried about it. So let's keep going around and around on the canvas. Let me pull this baby back a little bit. Lower it like that. Very good. I'm trying to get my cameras all synchronized here. Of course, a lot of this background shading is going to be covered by the details of the background. Believe it or not, there's a lot more going to happen on this canvas. We are basically just concentrating ourselves on the background, so a lot of this stuff is going to get hidden. But we're still going to have to do a good job, right? No excuses. Don't want to get sloppy. Okay, so let's go. I'll bring this baby over a little bit here. Go on that upper right-hand corner. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. I'll bring this baby over as well. See, as it's drying, it's getting a lot darker. Not really what I want, but we'll see. Like I say, if I have to go back on top of it, I will. bring this camera down. Christ, I'm spending more time on these cameras than I am painting. It seems like it. Anyways, I don't need to worry too much about over here. Like I say, all this is going to be covered up. Get the sides here as well. Voilà. Hop. C'est pas mal. Je me demande si c'est pas un peu foncé. Is it a little too dark? I'm not sure. This area definitely. So I'm going to go back over on top of that with the lighter paint, lighter purple. There we go. Up. Up. Wherever I see it's already a little too dark, I'm just going to go over it a little bit with the lighter purple. And so let me bring these cameras back a little bit so I have some room. Hop, et d'un. Et de deux. How do I pinch this again? There we go. Goodness. Okay, so where am I here? Là, un peu trop foncé là. Just a little too dark. So I just go over it with a little bit lighter shade. Voilà. Là aussi, un peu trop foncé. I just blend it all in. There we go. Like I said, when this painting is finished, we'll barely even see all this shading. But it's important to have it there, though. Really gives some depth to the background, even though most eyes will be caught on the foreground rather than the background. So, now where are we at here? So basically, I am all done for the day. Basically, I'm finished because I need all this to be totally dry. So one, I can be sure that it's the right hue, not too dark tomorrow. And then I'm going to start tomorrow working on the details of this background. I'm going to make some gold, what I call electromagnetic waves, which are just like little circles, as though you throw a stone in a pond and you see the ripples going out. I'm going to do that with some gold color on the background. And then on top of that, I'm going to have little planets, probably orange. So that is basically what the background will be, pretty psychedelic. And then on top of that, we're going to have all our leaves and our jungles. And when all that is finished, then we're going to work on our TheZenRebel guy right here, the guy with the oxygen mask. So that is basically what we're going to do. But in the meantime, I cannot do anything further. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I am just going to go over one little thing here. And I realize, like, I just want to make sure, no, that's not the right hue. Just want to add a little bit. That is too dark. There we go. Just a little bit of lighter highlights. Not too much, but just a little bit. Again, just to give it another kind of a subtle variation. Oops, get that camera out of my face, man. This is up here. You're supposed to be aiming. God, there we go. Just a little bit lighter of the move in certain areas. Again, very subtle stuff that you'll barely see. Because as this dries as well, it's going to darken, so you'll see it even less. And that's what we want. We want it to work on the subconscious. Voila. Okay. Let that dry, and we'll see where we're at. I'm going to bring this over here so I can move my other camera back here for a final view of the painting. Come on. There we go. So where are we here? We're on camera number 2. Then we'll switch to camera number 1. And that's about it. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we continue on the background of this painting. I all hope you have a wonderful day. I'm talking to my Instagram friends, and then eventually I'll say goodbye to my YouTube friends in a few seconds. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be here at 3 p.m. if you're in France, 9 a.m. if you're in the States, or 7:30 if you're in Mumbai, wherever. It's the internet, right? So have a wonderful day. Ciao, mes amis. And now to you, my friends. I want to thank you also for joining me, and hopefully you'll join me tomorrow as we continue on this painting. Until then, I'm going to leave you with 2 things. The first one is my schedule, and the second one is by saying, ciao, mes amis.